You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Wole and Mo are your hosts. Ray Jeezy is out. Also, we have this station's Washington football team reporter, Felix Trammell, with us. What's going on, Felix?
Man, what's good, man? What's going on, fellas?
It's good, man. I'm on baby boy look right now, man. I'm on my baby boy joint right now. This is what I'm doing right now.
I'm about to say,
baby boy.
You've been slimming down a little bit. That's why you're the white beater. I see.
Yeah, man. I'm saying, yes, it's the black beater now. You know what I'm saying? We're remixing it. It's the black beater. That's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the taxing that the Kansas City put on my squad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's all work right now. You know what I mean? You can call me Snoop right now, baby boy. Like, it was like that type of bullying. It's that type of bullying that's going on.
That's how you feel? Okay.
That's how I feel. That's what Kansas City did to my squad. Hey, say subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy Gold, everything with the urban sports scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. It is up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Like I mentioned, we're going to recap the Washington football team losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 31-13 and their upcoming game against the Packers. Let's get right into it. Hey, Mo, start us off.
Hey, man. So the Washington football team lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 31-13. What are you guys' thoughts on the game?
So on you, Felix, you got the juice, man.
It has to be different. For 30 minutes, they did everything they needed to do.
Yeah.
30 minutes. And the difference was we were too conservative, and that allowed Kansas City to settle into the game and then be who they are. Because in the first half, they was scrambling. Mahomes probably had a top 5 bonehead play that I've ever seen in the league on that second interception. That was just bonehead. And we did a field goal. You can't beat Kansas City. You can't beat these top teams in this league with field goals. Field goals might win games in the NFC East. Field goals ain't winning games against top-notch teams. Yeah. So it was just, you know, they came out well. And then I think the defense got down on themselves when the offense couldn't do what they needed to do. I think the defense was just like, all right, we did our bargain. We tried. And then Kansas City turned up. It only takes Kansas City a hot second. And then when they turn up, they turn up. And when Mahomes and Hill start feeling good, you in trouble. And that's exactly where we was. We was in trouble.
Do you think the league is caught up to Taylor Heineke?
To an extent. I think he's limited by himself.
Yeah, of course.
And what teams are playing him to do is they're pressing the front of the pocket and they're not letting him step up. And he's already has a bad tendency of going off his back foot. If a lot of times you'll see him, he's on his back foot kind of whipping the ball, and he don't have that type of arm strength. And so routinely, I know people saw it on Sunday, there's receivers open. Our receivers were open. He couldn't get them the ball. And that weighs on everything else that goes on. So I think, and they weren't even that type, they weren't even a high-rated defense, but they have a good defensive coordinator in Spagnuolo.
Yeah, Spagnuolo.
So he knows how to take away what we need to take away. And they effectively did that.
So would you say that in terms of play calling, how would you grade Scott Turner's play calling in that game against the Chiefs? We're talking about a team that has one of the worst defenses in the league, and they only scored 13 points.
I say B-, because he schemed people open. Okay. If you go back and look at the all 22, there are times receivers are open. They're boom, open, and then your quarterback can't execute. Yeah. So that's why I say B-, but then it's incumbent on you to find plays that will help him succeed.
Exactly.
So that's why they went to those screens. However, Kansas City has notoriously been a screen jumping team. That's how we got the touchdown. Yeah. They jumped at what they thought was a screen. We went over the top. We didn't do that again. Yeah. So I think the original game plan actually was pretty good against Kansas City. He didn't modify it for how his quarterback was playing in the game. So I won't say B- because there were chances for people to succeed that we didn't capitalize on. And that was more the players on the field than what was called. Because there was good players called, people were open. We just didn't execute.
So how, I want to touch on something in terms of the defense, and Mo, you can jump in whenever you want to, but I want to touch something on the defense. Landon Collins gets beat. I guess he didn't turn around. It was beat on a play close in the red zone. It got to the red zone. Again for the tight end from Kansas City caught it. Jump ball. Landon Collins didn't turn around. But then after that, he seemingly he played linebacker most of the game after that play.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts of his play, his overall play in the game?
For me?
Yeah, for Mo. I mean, not Mo, Felix.
Yeah, he actually played linebacker the whole game.
Yeah, I thought so.
He lined up either at Will or Mike linebacker the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Earl and McCain were the two safeties. All the teams that beat Kansas City played cover two shell. Mm-hmm. They kept two corners back. You rotate one over Hill's side. The other side, you crash down on Kelsey, and you go one-on-one with everybody else. Uh-huh. So Washington actually did that. And so for the most part, they were able to keep Landon from being isolated. That wheel route that tight end did force him before he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
I hate that for him. He tore his Achilles in that game. That wheel right route is going to beat Landon. It's just not a good route for him to cover. He makes some good plays on other situations, but it's incumbent on Jack Del Rio to not have him cover in space. So whatever that takes, if it takes him being the strong side linebacker and he's blitzing and he's playing downhill, I think you can get serviceable play out of Landon Collins. If you're asking him to go one-on-one with Kelsey, that's not going to be a win. Yeah. That's not going to be good for the defense. Yeah. So he had some plays and he had some mistakes. But I think what's best for the team right now is he's playing the closer to the line of scrimmage he is, the better it is for everybody.
I will concur. I mean, I think especially coming off of the injury from last year, he came back looking good, but the play has been so up and down, right? Yeah. And that matchup was just one that doesn't fit him. You got a high-octane offense that loves to attack down the field. It doesn't just play well into his hand, like Felix says. So the conversation that we had early in the offseason about whether Landon should start the season there has come to fruition regardless, because they're trying to put the best 11 on the field, right? So I think that some credit has to be given there. I don't think, I think a lot of people were upset that he was starting at the safety only because of his price tag, right? Only because of his price tag and that not being the same message that was being put out to the public about
just the whole
versatility and earning your spot. So I don't think there's 11 defensive players better than Landon Collins on this defense. So I think finally getting him to see that it behooves him to play closer to the line, play next to Jamin or replace Jamin in the dime package, I think bodes well and should bring back some interesting returns because of what has been said all offseason about the quarterbacks you guys are going to face this year, right? And some of these matchups. So I think everything is going to come in time with him. He's too good of a player to not make the adjustment, trying to figure it out in the middle of a game that you probably didn't prepare for to play a position, even though it's all defense, can be something that's difficult. So I'm not going to put that over my head either, being I've coached and I've played and whatnot. So, and he played better this week, so it should continue to get better because you're not going to face an offense like Kansas City. Yeah. Let's keep it. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
Right.
and also you touched on something real. I mean, the fans should really pay attention to. And regardless of what people want to say about Landon. And I've been pretty critical of Landon like anybody, but we all got to understand that the man is coming back from an Achilles injury. Like that, all the talk about he looks good even with the Achilles. It's an Achilles injury. Like a lot of folks don't bounce back from the Achilles injury. And now you're asking a guy to play in space, a guy who wasn't always the best in playing in space, to play in space coming back from the Achilles injury.
And
Like
he came back with under a year.
Under a year. That's what I'm saying. Like under a year.
year.
So that's something that doesn't typically happen. Like,
and
you know,
you have to get back. You get warmed
yeah.
up.
So it's different. Like people, I think fans have had this expectation of, oh, okay, you know, if you're going to start Landon, and I get it, they're angry because, you know, Cam Curl and Reeves play better as a tandem. And I understand what the frustration is, but at the same time, in terms of, you have to understand where that other player is coming from too. At the same time, like what they're asking him to do is not fair. It really isn't fair.
I will segue into somebody that when they asked him to do this, he was more than ahead of his time. Right? You guys were at the game. Big day for the late great Sean Taylor. Had his number retired. There was a lot of controversy around the time. And what was the vibe around the ceremony? I seen Patrick Mahomes' little brother dancing on the number. So what was the vibe around there? Because when I seen that, I was ready to jump out there.
So, like, first of all, I didn't see it because I would have jumped out there. Like I would have remembered, you know, I would have forgot who I was and went to, you know, but like it didn't feel any different. It felt like a regular home game. And from somebody who was there the game after he died, that game against Buffalo was so emotional. And I've played sports my whole life. I don't think I've ever cried like that at a game. Like people were in tears. They were hurt. So this whole thing, you're honoring him. It should have been a different vibe. And it felt like a random game in October versus an AFC team. Not even Kansas City, not even the two-time AFC defending champion. It was just another game. Like we could have been playing the Cincinnati Bengals. You wouldn't have known the difference.
Wow.
So that's how it was. And so we were trying to see what's the schedule, what's going to happen. We didn't know. They told the media, they told us in the press box about 11 o'clock, oh, the family's going to go out here on the road, do the road dedication. We can't really talk to them. They're going to come to the stadium. They're going to do something before the game. And they came out. We saw his daughter out there taking some pictures, talking with Landon, a couple other things. Excuse me. Then all of a sudden the video plays of his tribute. And that was it. And you're like, this was it? Like, you expected more. And it didn't feel any different. It felt like a regular game when it shouldn't have felt like a regular game. And that just speaks to the other mess that's going on with the franchise, because you would think if you would have told people in June, hey, this October 16th game against Kansas City, we're retiring Sean Taylor's number, that game would have sold out.
Big time.
That game would have sold out, and you would have had a much different atmosphere if you did that. So it just felt like a regular random game against a random team.
So do you think, I have this question about that too. Do you think that, and because, you know, there are so many people who weren't in, you know, who aren't really a part and have the vibe of like this team, you know what I mean? A lot of these folks came from Carolina or whatnot. And we can always, you know, obviously we know I'm playing devil's advocate when I'm saying this, because we pretty much know the reason for real. But since they didn't have the vibe of the fan base, they don't understand how important Sean Taylor was to this fan base. They should, you know what I mean? They should. Do you think that plays a part? Because, you know, it's a Carolina unit for real.
Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead, man.
I'll be quick. I don't think that should have been up on the coaching staff.
Yeah,
I think that leads to more of the dysfunctionality of the organization.
Of course.
You chose to do this and you didn't do it big enough. Yeah. Felix?
I mean, you're right. There's like one or two people left who were in the organization that was there then. They needed to reach out to the city, and the city would have told you. Matter of fact, let me stop you right there. You should have talked to Santana and Clinton, who are still around the building.
Yep.
Those two could have told you.
Yeah.
Those two could have told you everything you needed to know. And I don't think they were included. I don't think Doug was really included. I just think it was done from the top, and Jason Wright was told to make it happen.
Yeah, see, that's my problem.
So it kind of fell on him.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
And he's the fall guy.
Yeah, he's the fall guy. He's the fall guy. I feel bad for him.
And he's the one that's taking the heat from the fans, but it wasn't him.
Yeah, and I think everybody knows. I think fans pretty much. I mean, most fans know. I mean, they know it's not on him. I mean, people are blaming who they need to blame, to be real with you. But I'm like you, Felix. We all, everybody, you don't even have to be a Washington fan to kind of feel the vibe of Sean Taylor. If you in the area, it's a football. I think football fans, for real, in general, be real with you. When that day happened, you knew the vibe, and you knew how sad it was. You know what I'm saying? You had T.I. had Sean Taylor in the rap, in the verse. So you already know, and he ain't from here. You know what I'm saying? So you already got the vibe of what Sean Taylor was about. So for them not to do it, and I think I heard somebody say it, and I totally, after I thought about it, I totally agreed. Like, you had to treat that day like a full-blown, damn near Super Bowl event. What I mean by that is, like, you may have a parade. Like, that's how real, like, you got to really dedicate this stuff to this dude, because people have been waiting for. You had questions early, like, y'all should retire his jersey. But this is after like a year later, or when it happened, people were like, we got to retire the jersey. So you already know fans have been waiting for this moment for a while. And for you to do that, like, at that situation, not giving it its own day, its own real dedication, or a week or months in preparation for it, it had to be treated like, like I said, like a Super Bowl event, one's prom, whatever you want to call it. It had to be treated like that. You know what I'm saying? So
I think they dropped the ball, and I think all fingers should get pointed at the main man in charge.
Of course.
For allowing all the BS that he's allowed so far to make, that has led to his absence, we'll say, right? His absence right now, that he was there, right? Somebody helped me with that.
He was there.
Oh, definitely. It was his guy. And that's the thing that bothers me, I guess.
Okay.
That too, that's, the Miami unit with this squad.
I'm about to say, like, so I saw a picture of Clinton with his daughter on the field.
And they were emotional too, right? They were emotional. Like, the family was emotional.
Yeah, the family was emotional. But
they should be.
Dan didn't come on the field. Dan stayed in the box.
Is he still allowed to be out? Is he allowed to be out? Is he allowed to be around?
He's supposed to be away from the team.
I thought so.
He does come to games.
Okay, got you.
He does come to games, but the only one who comes out is supposed to be his wife. His wife is the one who's technically technically the running the team.
Yeah, running the team.
So she's technically the CEO. So she's the one that goes out there. So, like, when they did the breast cancer stuff a week before, the New Orleans game, she was there. She was the one that came out. So when they did the joint on the field, they didn't come out. So they only had that one in his box.
Got you.
So it should have been more of a presence, man. It should have been more of a presence. It should have been more of a thing, even if they needed to push it back to the actual anniversary. Even if they need to push it back to the actual anniversary to get investment. But like you said, Felix, this should have came out when the schedule came out. They somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It was Charlie Taylor that they announced early this year, right?
Yeah.
They announced Charlie. You should have announced Sean Taylor ahead of time, get the buzz.
There's no knock, and this is no knock on Charlie Taylor, because Charlie Taylor is one of the best receivers who do it, right?
Listen,
but
man. The short stint that Sean had here,
in terms, people got short-term memory, and just in terms of popularity,
right?
It is what it is. Like, Sean Taylor.
In all sincerity, Darryl Green numbers should have been retired way before this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that becomes another issue. And I love Sean. And
he's not. Yeah, of course.
But there's other people who should have had their stuff retired.
Oh, that's facts. That's facts. That's not a knock. That's a fact.
It starts with Darryl.
Yeah,
Darryl gave you 2 decades.
Well,
he was the face of this team.
Well, arguably, Darryl's him, or you could say Art or whatever. Arguably, could be the best Washington
ever.
Yeah, Washington football team player ever. Arguably,
that guy who's in the Hall of Fame on his first ballot,
of course, it should
have been retired.
Oh, that's like
before we've gotten to
this. No, I agree. I've said it. Darryl Green is my favorite player of all time. I'm for Washington, like one of my favorite Washington players. So
it opened up another can of worms, because people were like, "Well, why haven't we done that? Why haven't we done 17? Why haven't we done 44? Why haven't we done 81?"
Do we think it has something to do with the actual changing of the name that's coming? like leaving that history behind, or leaving that as history, because next year is supposed to become this new wave. Like the Washington football team was forced.
The name is forced, yeah. And
the name change from the Washington football team may also be forced, but it's had some padding for the 2 years that it's been here, right? Do we think it's because of this new era of Washington football that we're about to embark on soon, with the name change, with possibly a jersey change, or all of the things that are coming, that they wanted to start doing this now to get it out of the way before the history got muddled?
No, it's that the reason is that, like, where everybody knows the reason. It's not really complicated. You know, it's common. Like, you know what the reason is. The reason, this is the thing, it's a simplistic in this fact. Sean Taylor, because of currency and like in currency, and in terms of the whole NFL, you know, he's beloved. When you mention Sean Taylor, it's beloved. So you're trying to, with all the bad press, how do you get people to stop talking about that? Okay, oh, you're doing something cool. You're celebrating Sean Taylor. So now it's like, this is now should be the story. It has nothing to do with the name and down. They knew what they were doing. Like, they knew what they were doing. Like, just keep it up. They knew what they were doing.
As what? The Washington football team is like a top 5 organization money-wise, like, right, in all of sports, right?
It's the 5th most valuable NFL franchise.
Yeah. That's a whole
thing. And it's like 9th overall in all
like, I knew the number. I knew the numbers.
It used to be better than that, though. It used to be better than that, but go ahead. It used to be better than that.
I knew the numbers were crazy when you, given the fact that there's 30 teams in every major league, right? Like, something crazy. To even be in the top 10 is ridiculous, right? So there's too many wealthy people that have jobs to screw this up. Even if you were trying to deflect bad press, you tug at the heartstrings on the week that the man actually passed, or the week that the Tampa game was played. Or there was a better way to do that.
Yeah.
This is a complete botchery.
Yeah.
Of you know, and don't get me wrong, Sean Taylor didn't have a long career. He's kind of like the hood favorite. You know what I mean?
He's a cult
favorite.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Like a cult. He's like a cult.
It's a cult. Yeah, it is. Sure is.
So like, but you saw it. You knew what was coming down the pipeline. You knew that was ahead of its time.
Yeah, you knew it.
6'3", 230 wasn't roaming around the back like that. You know what I mean? Was it?
Because I mean, now he'd be a linebacker.
He'd be a
linebacker. Like, he would be a linebacker today. That's how
gifted he was. Yeah, that's how gifted he was.
And actually, we had this discussion: which death affected DC more, Sean Taylor or Len Bias? And people,
I wasn't there.
Came with Len Bias because we at least saw Sean and knew what Sean was going to be. Yeah. We never got to see Len in the NBA. We never got to see that. So but we both remember. We remember we were when we heard both of those deaths. Like, we don't get those. But with Sean, we saw it. So it was like we got that taste of, we got us a man right here. And it was just gone.
You got one that was going to be different. You got one that was going to be different.
It was like, wow. And it was like, yeah, we got one. We got him. Like, we there, and it was gone. And
Sean Taylor made me a University of Miami fan. Sean Taylor made me a University of Miami fan. Like, that's right. Just when I started watching college football and understanding it.
And I don't want to go too long in the Sean Taylor. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's one of the great young players we saw, like young players, because again, we didn't get to see the whole totality of Sean Taylor. But you can tell how special you are when you got a bunch of safeties that come out to the league, and they're like, yo, I looked up to Sean Taylor, and the dude wasn't even close to scratching the surface, to be real with you.
It was the brand of football, Wole.
That's crazy to me. The man went to the Pro Bowl.
The man went to the Pro Bowl and knocked the punter senseless at the Pro Bowl. It was the brand of football.
But you know how tough that is, though. I mean, I'm being real. Like, to be that young And to have people say they modeled their game after somebody who didn't play in the league for like 10, 12 years. That is amazing to me, bro. Like, that is something special.
It was the no holds barred, no regard, like just going out there playing like we all learned how to play football, trying to damage everything moving.
Right.
I mean, it's appealing to folks, man. Like that's always going to appeal to folks because they take a different mindset to kick into that. Right?
No, I agree. It's just that's tough to me. It's tough, but
that was special, man.
It was, man. But you're listening to All Burgundy Go, everything with the urban sports scene, and we are chatting with this station's Washington football team reporter Felix Trammell. So Felix, Sunday Washington takes on the Green Bay Packers. I know you do this often when you're writing your articles for Fox. What are the keys to this football game for a Washington victory?
Can I jump in, Felix?
Go ahead. This is his thing. This is his thing. He writes this. My man writes this. Go ahead, Doug.
We started talking about Sean Taylor. He got me excited. It just made me start thinking about his best game I ever seen him play against the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Green Bay Packers dropped a couple of interceptions and still left with like 3, or was it 2? And I think he could have left with like 4 or 5 interceptions.
You mean one in Lambeau? The one in Lambeau? The one.
It was the one in Lambeau.
The one in Lambeau, right?
The one in Lambeau was crazy.
He fried him.
That's one of the best games I ever seen him play, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been talking about safety play. We're talking about playing against Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, right? It was all just felt too good just now, Wole. I'm sorry, man.
You good, bro. I'm not mad at you.
This is why I don't like talking about Sean Taylor, man.
I ain't mad at you.
You get emotional. I get it.
Man, listen, man. I'm a Giants fan, Felix, right?
He is a Giants fan.
And when they drafted him, I said, there goes Jeremy Shockey. I know what that was for. It
was for him. It was for T.O.
It definitely was for T.O. But T.O. got shook. T.O. got shook.
T.O. would not come across that.
Ooh. And then when they got LaRon with him too.
Yeah.
Ooh. Then they got
sad thing is, before I go to my 3 keys, LaRon would have been a hell of a safety.
I know, bro. I say so all the time.
Was still there.
Yeah, I know, bro.
Because LaRon would have been what LaRon was going to be, and that was a downhill missile.
I'm telling you.
And you had Sean on the back end. There would have been a problem for a long time.
I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna let Felix go. I'm gonna say this. I believe this in my core. If Sean never passed and LaRon was there, that would have went down as the best safety tandem in football. Just because of what, just because what they brought, just to what Felix just said. LaRon got to play his position, and that's 4-3 speed playing that position. That's 4-3 speed, and then with a 4-4 guy who could cover, and he's a playmaker on the back end. That's scary. That's so scary. Violent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you, Felix, though.
Back to the keys, Felix. My bad.
All right. Mainly for the Packers, they haven't been blowing people out. Mm-hmm. They have been very kind of bland and boring. So Washington needs to make it bland and boring. Run the ball, possess the ball, double Adams like you did with Hill. Mm-hmm. And then make someone else beat you. Make Valdez-Scantling beat you. If Valdez-Scantling beats you, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But the Packers can be beat, and they haven't been world beaters, but we can't leave the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands. So he's crafty enough. Teams have been quick passing to negate our defensive line. So our defensive line has started playing fine. They're playing up to the level we expect from them. But teams are just throwing the ball out in 2 seconds. There's nothing that the line can do in 2 seconds. So we got to make Aaron Rodgers have to go long distances down the field. We've got to run the ball. We need to use Jared Patterson. He's on the team. He can run the ball too. We need to use steady running the ball, play action, possess the ball. The Packers defense isn't that good either. They're not.
No, sir.
They're not. They'll make a play when they need to, but they're not top 10 defense. And we just need to possess the ball. So my keys, we got to run the ball with Gibson and Patterson. And then when we use Gibson and Patterson, don't forget about McKissick, because we'll have a game where we have all Gibson and 0 McKissick. And then the next week will be all McKissick and 0 Gibson. and we don't use enough two-back sets. And on the defensive end, similar defense to what we played last week, you just roll your coverage to Adams and you make someone else beat you. Because Aaron Jones really hasn't been doing much on the ground. And the rush defense hasn't been bad for Washington. So it's a winnable game. Do I see them winning? No, but it's a winnable game. And if they can come out of that game playing well, their schedule starts to get better. The Murderer's Row is coming to an end. There's only one more MVP left. They played MVP after MVP. Yeah. There's only one, and that's Brady.
Oh, Brady. Russ today, or Russ still hurt.
If Russ comes back in time, because
he'll be MVP caliber. That could be MVP caliber by then.
Oh, definitely, hands down.
So you got the Broncos after that. You got Carolina. You got you got 2 Eagles games. You got winnable games left. You just got to get through the last of this little Murderer's Row. And they gave away a game or 2 that they could have won that would have had them in a better spot. So that would be my biggest key, because it's going to be hard to hit Rodgers. Very few teams are able to hit Rodgers. If we could, it would be great, because that's how Tampa Bay beat them in the playoffs last year. But we gotta take Adams away. And that means don't leave Jackson one-on-one with Adams.
Yeah,
make sure somebody's over the top with him, and make them have to be boring, and make them have to throw short and do 3-yard passes. They get frustrated having to do that. Kansas City did. They didn't like that in the first half, and then in the second half, when they could go trick play and Hill can do whatever he wants and he starts dancing and all that stuff, you're in trouble.
Mo, what are your keys, Mo? You want to say some keys? So now you can
say. Man, we're talking to the locksmith, man. He gave it all to us. I mean, for me, it was Devontae Adams. It was Devontae Adams. It was Antonio Gibson. And it was hold on for dear life on defense.
Yeah, I still think it is.
Literally, just hold on for dear life. Like, hopefully chasing the game even if they don't hit them, just muddy the pocket.
Yeah.
Muddy the pocket. Bakhtiari's still out, right? Yeah. Muddy the pocket. As he said, Aaron Jones has not been running stellar, but this is set up prime time for him to have that kind of game, because it's always like every other game or every 2 games. It's some weird stat about the way he gets going.
Yeah.
And this is prime time for him to have one of those games where they use him in the screen game and he burst off one long run or something like that changes the outcome of the game. So I'm not really counting him out.
Yeah.
I'm not counting him out. I did like what I seen from Jamin Davis this past weekend.
I did like it too.
11 tackles.
I did like it too.
I said it from Jump Street. If somebody gets drafted in the top 20, which we both did last year, play them people, man. Listen, the only way to get experience is to get experience. Yeah. It's kind of like going to a job, well, you need all of this for experience. But I just got out of college, boss. How am I gonna get all this? Right?
Yeah.
Let that young boy play, man. Let him take his lumps and let him figure out what he needs to figure out, and stop trying to baby him and coddle him. He's here now. He's here now. He's the most gifted out of the group. Let him figure it out. He'll be better for it. Now that you got Landon playing next to him, you probably have somebody that knows the defense a little bit better than him that can tell him where to go, even if he's not moving.
Holcomb out there is the best. Holcomb has been helping play well too yesterday. Yeah, on Sunday too. I'm glad that the young boy got to play. He's gonna get better. I said every time when he gets time. The thing that's cool about Jamin Davis is that when he gets time, if you can see it, that he gets better. Like every game, he gets better. He learns. It's all about learning as a young player. He's learning. Yeah, you can see it in the game. Yeah, definitely. And also, I said this before last week. I'll say it again. It's not like you're asking him. He's playing like he's got drafted by like the Baltimore Ravens, and and their defense is a top tier defense, and you're like, okay, we can't put him in because he may hinder this defense. This defense, you got one of the worst defenses in the NFL. He can play. All right, like it's not like he can play. I mean, it's not like, all right, sorry, you're not giving. I'm scared of giving up 40 instead of giving up 35. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever. So he can play. But no, I think the keys. I think you all said it. I agree with Felix. I think they should have had that game plan that you're referring to. Felix, you should have had it a little bit more offensively. They should have had it last week against Kansas City, trying to keep Patrick Mahomes off the football field, run the football as much as you can to kind of shorten the game when you're playing against a weapon like that. Because we all know if you keep that offense off the field, I mean, keep that type of offense on the field, it also helps your defense, right? They're not on the field, so it helps your defense as well. So I think that's the key. I agree with everything about Devontae Adams, but I just, it sounds good in theory, but I don't know if I have faith in
it. Typically, when you're playing a receiver like this, right?
He's moving around.
Right. Typically when you're playing a receiver like this is where William Jackson's strong suit would come into handy.
Right. Go man and follow
and run, right? But this might be the most slippery receiver, the most elusive receiver on the line. You might just play into his hand if you try to bump him. So I see a lot of zone coming this week. I see a lot of zone trying to keep him in front of them and hopefully making the tackles to try to limit those big gains, because he's the one you don't want to miss, because Aaron Rodgers is going to put it on his temple from 40 yards out. You know what I mean? So it's
tough. Yeah, I mean, it's the type of receiver. He's better against the bigger receivers because he's a press corner. Yeah. So Tyreek Hill was going to be a bad matchup for William Jackson off top because he can't put his hands on him. So now he can. Adams is bigger, but Adams is a great route
beast, man. He's a beast, man.
So you want to let him press some, but if you press him, Adams, Adams goes to work. So you press him, but you keep the safety over his head. Like you got to do you can't leave him one-on-one. And I think we have the tendency of leaving our corners one-on-one, like we have
and just
Jalen Ramsey and Darrelle Revis on the corner, and we don't.
I think it goes back to Jack Del Rio in this play, the selection of the play calling. Like there's
no creativity. There's no creativity. There's nothing been hid. You can see it you can see it off the bat. You can see.
I don't know where the disconnect is. A lot of guys have been playing out of place and outside of their style all year.
There's timidness, right? Like you're scared. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you could tell there's a fear that, all right, if you try to do something exotic, somebody's going to mess up with a blown coverage. You can tell that's a fear. So they try to stay as basic as whatever, but even that doesn't work because they're still a blown coverage. They're just, I mean, everybody plays sports. Everybody knows like a mentality of an individual, of a team or a team that's all about winning and about cutting somebody's neck off. And this defense doesn't have that mentality. By coaching, they're not teaching that mentality. It's more of the safe side of things and trying to keep everything in front of you. That's the goal, to keep everything in front of you. And we all know by watching good defenses is that the good defense there's a mentality, there's an aggressive mentality within coaching and within the players. And this defense, would they have the dog to do it for whatever reason, they're not allowed to play with that mentality.
I've said it a couple of times in some of the pieces I've written. You're a reactionary team.
Yeah, there you go.
The defense reacts to what the offense does. So that's why, with the exception of the Saints game, every team has gone on the field and scored on us in their opening drive.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting up here.
So true.
All right, let's figure out what they're doing. Teams are running their scripted plays and bam, 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 touchdown. Bam, 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 touchdown. Bam, bam, bam. Because we don't have a goal. Like, okay, we're playing Aaron Rodgers, so our goal is we're going to blitz. So we're going to blitz all game.
All game, yeah.
We don't do that. We'll play a safe, a basic defense, a
generic defense,
and we just try to react. And so that's why players have the mistake. Like, I'm talking to him, he's talking to me. I thought you were doing this. No, you were supposed to do this. Instead of out the gate, we on them. Yeah. And we don't do that on defense. So we're so reactionary. We're not, the Ravens defense, like the Rams. Let's say the Rams right now. Yeah. The Rams have a plan every week of what they're going to do and how they're going to defend something.
But the Rams do have their 99 is
actually special, but you know what?
He's actually like a 99.
He's different, but I'm talking about the other 10 players around him.
Yeah, exactly. They're not all
like there'll be one week where
we know him. That's two, but bro, you know what I'm talking about.
There'll be 1 week where Jalen. There'll be 1 week where Ramsey's following somebody the whole game. Yeah. There'll be another week where he's on a tight end. Then there's another week where he's playing the slot, like because they're trying to do different things to take stuff away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same plan every freaking week.
So when a team comes out, it runs their because they script the first 10, 15 plays.
Right.
They go right down the field like we're nothing.
But devil's advocate, if you come out trying to blitz this murderous row of quarterbacks that you guys have played against their scripted 15 that they're the most confident in, they're going to get bludgeoned.
I'm gonna give you an example. I'm just an example. Did you watch the Chargers? You watch the Chargers Baltimore Ravens game? You know how much I love that guy.
Yeah.
You saw what they did to him?
But you're talking about a unit, though.
No, I'm telling you, it's a unit. I'm telling you, like the Chargers, they weren't scared. Like they mixed up their. I'm just telling you, like they brought the Ravens. The Ravens don't got this. If you look at the Ravens' talent, right on the defensive side, talent. I mean, talking about coaching, talking about talent. Washington has more talent than this Ravens because everybody's hurt because they lost a lot of bodies. Humphrey's probably their best cornerback. They don't have the same safety play.
I'll take Elliott though. That's
Elliott.
I'll take my boy.
Listen, Felix.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Talent wise, as a unit, as a whole entire unit, I'll take Washington.
I think
it's the same. Folks, if you really rate it, like how do they rate the Washington defense in the offseason? If you take the talent, I'm talking about the talent. Forget the talent.
Listen, man. Outside of your four that your four. You can give me the rest of their seven.
The secondary too, with backup players.
Humphrey, with
What's one player? Oh, that's one player. They've been playing with backup cornerbacks at the Marlin because everybody hurt. Peters is hurt.
That's true.
I would take Elliott, but that's just me being a Texas homer.
He's a Texas fan too, right? He's a Texas fan though. That's a Texas fan though. I get it. He's a Texas fan. That's why he's doing it. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you.
Better player than he gets credit for.
But I'm telling you, I'm just being real. This is not the Ravens team that was healthy. This is the hurt Ravens roster. That's all I'm telling you. And they still doing the same thing.
But they also have
and their defense, real talk, their defense, I'm just telling you that their defense hasn't even been that great this season other than a couple games. But they're what they did against the Chargers, with that guy, it goes to what Felix is talking about. It's a mentality. They're not saying they're not dictating. A lot of plays they weren't even, and they're a blitz heavy team. They show blitz, backed out, and got in zone coverage. Like they would show, they would do things to confuse the young boy.
Well, I would do that if I got 8 on my side of offense too. You got Taylor Heineke.
No. So this is the thing. Your defense is trash. No, it don't matter. You give them 40. Look again. This is like you're acting like no, it don't matter. No, that's what I'm saying. Your argument. That's what I'm saying. It don't matter. You're giving your argument would work. I would agree with you if you're not giving up 40.
Naturally, what I'm trying to say is I would be a more aggressive defense also if I could keep up by scoring points because your defense can't do something with me. But with Taylor Heineke falling back down to earth recently, you have to protect the whole team.
Okay, this is my point though. This is back to my point. You're playing safe, and what are you doing?
That's true.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think seeing both sides, there has to be a certain level of aggression, but you can't go full out either.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
I think, especially seeing that this team was built from the defensive side, you need to let your defense dictate the game. Yeah. And I think what Wole's saying is the Ravens defense dictated that game so Lamar could come be Lamar.
Yeah.
And Lamar will have mistakes. He will put the ball on the ground. He might throw an interception.
Sure, yeah.
But he knows he has that leeway. So the Ravens defense dictated that game versus the Chargers. They were waiting on Herbert to dictate the game.
And it didn't happen.
And so like when they just gave up 42 the week before to the Browns. So, they came out the gate and, the Ravens attacked them. They were behind the 8 ball. They were done. So I think our defense, seeing that that's supposed to be our strongest thing, even though it's been our offensive line, Our defense is our strongest thing. They need to dictate the game. So it's if sitting back and being safe is causing you to lose, why not try to be aggressive and go for broke? Because the losing is still happening.
Yeah, it's still happening.
All right, well.
And even if, and let's just say this week, they go out and be aggressive and they lose, Rodgers has one of his late comebacks and wins the game. But your defense played better, your offense played better. Like I said, the MVPs are running out on the schedule. We've gone through the MVP road. So you can now go to Denver and dictate to Denver like the Raiders did. The Raiders went into Denver, said, this is what we're going to do. We got rid of that mess that was the head coach. We're going to take this game to y'all. That game was over in the third quarter. Yeah, when was the last time Washington had a game over?
Oh, ain't going to happen anytime soon. That's not going to happen anytime soon. I don't even know. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's not. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Hey, man, Felix, we got to close the show out, man. Hey,
let's get the scores, the picks, man.
Oh, scores. All right. Oh, I mean, Felix, you can do scores. I'm gonna be negative. So go ahead, Felix. Get the scores,
man. Packers 27, Washington 20.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, Mo, what's your score? What's your score, Mo? That's a nice score. I would hope they give him 27. That wouldn't be bad, actually. That'd be respectable. Go ahead.
I got 27.
27 who?
27 Packers. 27 Packers to 17.
Y'all real nice. I got Packers getting 30. Everybody gets 30 against Washington. 30 Packers, 37 Washington. I mean, they scored 6-13 against a sorry freaking Chiefs defense. So I don't know how much. I guess 17. That sounds better. That sounds better. 37-17. Hey man, I want to be wrong, man. I do. I want to be wrong. But I mean, you gotta prove it to me, man. I can't be giving y'all credit when y'all ain't proving nothing to me yet. Hey, Felix, before I let folks end the show, how can folks catch you on social media? I know they can see it right there, but still, I want you to say
it. Follow me at HTTR on Twitter and on Instagram. It's basketball season, so I'm gonna be running my mouth about that too. As well, they said, I'm a Texas fan, so it's a rough year. Right? College football over. I'm on my Duke Blue Devils, but nah. I chat up all the time, man. I love talking sports. So hit me up. We discuss everything. So anything you want to know about the team, any questions you want me to ask the coach, or any of the players, just let me know. Press conferences, I will. I had no problem doing it. Mm-hmm. So just reach out to me, follow me, I'll follow back. It's all good.
My man.
Doing that right now. HTTR and blessed.
And I will change the name whenever we get a name.
It's all good, bro.
Everybody asks. People do ask.
Hey man, Wole won't buy no new paraphernalia because he's waiting for the final decision. So it's understood. It's understood.
Yeah, man, that's why we're all black with the Scully. You know what I'm saying? With the Scully. You know what time it is. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, the Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Hey, I appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate the homie Felix for jumping on the show and dropping knowledge. And always appreciate the homie Mo. You already know what time it is. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.
Peace.